Okay, we are recording. Welcome to Lizzy Albright. Are you having trouble hearing me, Leela?
If you want to talk to her, you unmute.
We're unmuted. Here we go.
If you could leave your, Nancy, if you could leave your microphone muted. Thank you.
Got it. Got it.
And look, it's got
Okay.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
A lot of thumbs up.
Jane, wait. Come here. What?
Okay. This is a fun book. Ricky Timms is not a novelist. Put my camera on my desktop so they don't have to look at nothing. There we go. And if you can't hear me, let me know because I'm gonna get a little closer so the people in back can hear me. Not a novelist. Is really like
If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to sit so you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
We're gonna have to work on this. Okay, so their first idea about this book was to get young teenagers into sewing, but what it kind of has turned out to be, in my estimation, we're going to learn how to do this quilt, this 30s sampler quilt, in the 30s methods. Now, I'm going to teach you the 30s method, but I'm not going to require that you use it because some people who are taking the class are actually going to do the hand sewing. Personally, I will be using my machine, but we can get the same look, and it never hurts to use new techniques. So whatever I teach you, I will either tell you how to cross it over into the modern day, or you'll see, I mean, it'll be pretty evident. There was a few like housekeeping type things, I guess they would call it, I wanted to go over. There are 42 blocks, and I think the quilt is gorgeous. I would like us to be able to do all 42, and to do that, I'm thinking we need to do at least 2 blocks a month. They're small blocks. They each have a different technique, but some of them are very, very simple. So my idea is if it's a very, very simple one, we may do more than 2. I'm teaching another block of the month right now, and there have been some months that we have done as many as 6. And it's because some of them were repeated, and it was just a matter of cutting a little more fabric. So if I go too fast for you, you tell me, because my goal is that block of the months are fun and block of the months don't have homework. You know, I don't want you to have so much homework that, I know how I am. I always waited till the night before and I'd say, oh, I got to get this done for class tomorrow. So if I'm going too fast, I need you to tell me, because we'll get them all in, but I don't want it to turn into a burden, because it's an adorable quilt. And what Ricky did is, I haven't read far enough in the book to find out if Lizzy Albright invented this quilt and they made it, but it's my understanding that this is an actual 30s quilt that someone found in their grandmother's attic, and the fabrics are actually reproductions, but someone somewhere said you can't say that. So now if you read in here, there's a disclaimer about how he designed them after some vintage fabrics that he had. So I didn't want to confuse people because I had told people that, and that, I mean, we've talked to Ricky and we're still doing them 30s, but you know, nowadays there's all that legal stuff. Okay, so I did the disclaimer. Inside your book on page 8 and 9, you will find a picture of all of the fabrics that we're going to use in the quilt. One fat quarter is on page 8, one fat quarter set, and one fat quarter set is on page 9. So say you're taking this by Zoom, or if you want to call me and say, I'm out of the plaid in the cedar chest, you can tell me, and we're going to try to keep all the fabrics in stock as long until we get it done. The fabrics that the book uses for finishing are the plaid khaki, the red, the double grid red right here, and I may be wrong about that, but I know we use this line dot red. I'll look up to see what the other one is. We have those on order again because we don't have enough of the line dot to sell you for your border. Now, there are 2 different color waves. Other direction. They've also done it in blue. And if I knew how to zoom this, I would. I know there's a way. I just haven't learned it yet. I'm gonna do it this way. They do it in the burgundies, and then they do it in the navies. Now, there are some people like Julie, she picked some beautiful, the same fabrics from the same groupings, but she picked some grays and blacks, and I think they're going to be lovely. So you don't have to use the very same fabrics. I wish I could show that. You want to show it under the camera? Julie's going to show us her fabrics that she chose. So you don't have to use the very exact same ones, but if you want the same look of the book, of course, you're going to need it. Okay, any other questions about that part? All right. I don't want to bore you, but I don't want to give you too little information either. My goal for the class is when you come in, your block for the month before will be cut out and ready to sew. Then we will sew it together, and then after that, I will help you cut out the next one. So in other words, today I'm going to show you how to cut out the first one. If you want to, you can do 2. I'm prepared. But I thought we would do 1 just to kind of see if it was too much in a month, because like I said, I don't want to be overwhelming, and then we'll just be prepared to do 2 next month. It talks about pre-washing. I have never had a problem with that. With things running. I'm going to leave that up to you. Let's see. If you want to know how, if you're buying the Lizzy Albright here, we will help you with that. But it is on page 10, right down here in this corner. And the sashing, well, the first thing says assorted prints. Now that's your fat quarters. And from what I have read and figured, it's going to take 4 sets, 2.
And then,
Teresa?
Excuse me.
Yes.
You are fading in and out
Okay.
Moving in and out
because
from
we
the
can't hear
microphone.
you a lot of the time.
Okay, I am having trouble with my mic, so thanks for letting me know. I'll scoot back here where I can get closer.
Yeah, she can mute
Yeah,
it.
mute.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, is that better? I know
Yes, it's
it
much
was great on Wednesday, but nobody was here. We were practicing. Okay, so the way I figured it's gonna take 4 sets, 2 of each, to make the whole quilt. Then it says fabric for vertical upright. If you look on the picture, this fabric right here, it's the beige. Yeah, you can't really see it on my camera. But if you look on page 11, that's the beige khaki, or it's this one right here, the plaid khaki. That is what they used for the up and down. And it's 1 yard. Then the horizontal, which is this way, because see, this is an attic window quilt. I think it kind of gets lost with all those pretty blocks. The attic, the bottom of the window and all of these dark spots, though, that takes 4 yards. And then this fabric, the light fabric, which Julie used the light gray, all of those take 1.5 yards. Now, this white little tiny squares that goes through here in the and we're not going to get this to the end, but someone asked if they needed to buy white fabric. I am almost certain that they used the fabrics in our groupings that were mostly white. So all of these little squares are scrap. Okay. Yes.
See some dots in some of those white ones, so I think they use the dots in some cream.
The which one?
Those white squares. you talked
The dot suns
about?
cream.
Yeah, I think they use that one because you can see some of the dots in some of those squares.
Okay, and that's fine with me. They just didn't list, Laura made a comment that she could see that the white fabric in the middle of those squares looked like the fabric on page 8, the dot sun cream. And it would be perfectly acceptable to buy that and use it. But I think they used scraps. So I'm going to leave it up to you which you would prefer. I think it would be beautiful to have that cream in there. But I'm just trying to tell you how they did it. And then, you know, my motto is it's your quilt. You get to do it your way because you're the artist, and it'll be beautiful. Okay. They talk about, they're gonna show us, I think they said, yeah, 5 techniques. Traditional piecing, which is different than the way we piece now. There's, and the traditional piecing is oversized, and we'll go through that today. There's also foundation paper piecing, English paper piecing, and some applique. So you're even going to learn some needle turn applique. Now, if I hadn't told you that, some of you are already scared thinking, no, I can't do needle turn. Yes, you can. And I'm going to show you how. And you've probably been doing it and didn't even know it. When I took a class for needle turn, and when I got there, I had some samples of work I had done at home. I didn't know anything about needle turn, and I was already doing it and I didn't know it. So it's just how my granny did it. A lot of them, but remember, don't get scared, because if you don't want to do the needle turn, I'm going to show you an alternative so that you don't have to do any hand sewing. I mean, my hands are so bad, there's times I just can't. I mean, you could do a zigzag, you could do a decorative stitch. There's a lot of options. You don't have to do the hand stitching, but it's a small enough block. If you wanted to try it and learn it, it would be manageable.
I did it on that turn my background fabric upside down.
Silly girl. Okay. Joe's telling us her secrets. All right. This is how to trim our blocks with a template. I'm going to get into that. And I'm not going to go through all the techniques today. I'm going to go through them as we get there. Okay, so here's our first block. And I thought it was like a bear claw type block, but actually they call it the doves. And I was reading the history in here, and the first time it was used, it was, they talked about Noah's Ark and how it's called the dove in the window, and how the dove came and had the stuff in their mouth. So this block is from 1895. Now I see it in modern quilts all the time, so you know it's timeless. So these 2 pages, 18 and 19, this is what I would want you to have cut for next month. So I don't remember what page it is. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make your templates. Now let me clean my little area off here. We're going to need our template plastic. We don't need our fabric just yet, but we're going to need our book. Now, if you can find a place that will do it, some places like Staples used to, they will cut this part off where it's glued, and they will put a spiral ring in there, and then it'll lay flatter. We don't have that today, and so I'm going to show you how we can do it without. It just takes a little more patience. That's what I'll say. Okay. And this is for the piecing like my grandmother and great grandmother would do. And they didn't have books or patterns. I want to figure out how to zoom this so you ladies can see better. I know there's a way. I saw it. Your video settings. Oh yeah, it even says that you can take the wrinkles off your face. I didn't do that. You need glass. Okay, I'm gonna push one of these buttons. One of these. Make it bigger. Not that one. Okay. All right, I don't know how to make it bigger, and I will try to figure that out before next time. I don't want to use up the whole class. Okay, what they've done is they have drawn on page 18 and 19, they have drawn your template sizes out for you. Now, in my mind, being a rotary cutter person, I'm thinking, well, by the time I draw this out and then I cut it, it's not going to be the right size. Well, the way the ladies did it, they used this outside line to cut it, and then they would hand stitch where these dotted lines are. That way, every one of their blocks were perfect. You've seen the flower garden? That's how they did it. They matched those lines and did their little running stitch, and they would stop right in those corners where the seams match. So all we're going to do is take our template plastic. I would recommend a smaller tip. I'm using this because I wanted you to be able to see. And I'm just going to lay it flat. I should have, you know what? Yeah, fine point would work better. I should have brought some painter's tape, I think. But I'm going to use a ruler. And remember, your outside line is what you're going to cut your piece. Your inside line, that's your seam. So you don't have to mark that. If you want to make sure yours is just perfect like the ladies back when, you're welcome to do that. What you would do is you would cut a second template, and so you'd have one the size of the center, one the size of the hole, and then you would use that center one to draw in your seam lines. But then when you sew them, you've got to match them up. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this just to show you. I mean, it's really not hard, but just in case. So I draw my outside ones first. And yes, I think painter's tape would make this a whole lot easier. Oh, look at here. Here, I'll take some, and then if you don't mind passing it around to the ladies. Sorry, I can't share the painter's tape. Mike is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, because it already moved. There we go. Everybody just needs a little piece, yes. And my ruler is way too long. Okay. To hold the template plastic on the sheet of your book. See how I've got it? See up here, Joe? All right, now hang with me because I'm gonna change the camera. Looky there. I knew how to do that and I forgot. I'm sorry I didn't do that earlier. I'm learning. This is harder than quilting, let me tell you. Okay, so I am drawing, and then for class, since I'm teaching you, I'll go in and I'll draw this line, the second line. But normally I wouldn't, but I would draw the diagonal. Okay, you're going to do all of them. The one that I just drew, this is the trimming guide. So when we cut our fabrics, we're going to cut some squares and we're going to put them together like we always do. Draw a line, sew 1/4 inch each side, press them, and then next month I'll show you how we lay this down and get a perfect square. You can do the very same thing with a ruler. So if you don't want to go through all this, I'm okay with it. I just want you to learn what the book is telling you, and that's how they did it then. Because it's kind of fun, you know, to learn all that. So this I'm going to mark as my trimming, since it says it on there. There's our trimming guide. And it says trimming guide B. And I'm sure that'll make a difference when we get into the if you're going to go by the instructions. You know, my sweet friend Ruth always says, a pattern is only a suggestion. And I tend to go by that. Okay, so after I draw that, I can move it over here. And I can fit these in, put my tape down, and I'll draw all of these. Do you ladies have your template plastic so that you can be drawing those today?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
okay.
Just Rose and I do.
Great, okay. What I think I'd like to do, since this is the first class and I don't know how far we're gonna get, I think I'd like to go through the cutting instructions because this is something you can do without me. I'd like to go through the cutting instructions so that you know for sure what you want. And then we're only 10:30, so I would like to go ahead. It looks like we're gonna have plenty of time. I'm gonna go ahead and explain the next block. So we'll have 2 blocks for next month. And I'm thinking that'll give us 11 to 12 that we can just work on things. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so, and some of this I know you girls, you ladies already know, but you never know. We might have beginners here. There you go. Okay, well, if I go too fast for you, let me know because I want you to understand what we're doing, okay? I'll come back and help you after we get through these two. And so I make sure that you got all the steps. Okay, the way they did this, there are 4 different color waves is what they call these. This is the one from the quilt. These are ones using the same fabrics, just different colors. If you want yours to look like the one on the front, you'll need to use this one. So that's the one I'm going to be teaching. I'm sure these are all gorgeous and I think it's really fun how they show them, but I'm going to be teaching that one. So we are going to need the happy chickens. I think they're called singing chickens. This one. And we need this blue flower. And we need that this off-white, and I'm sorry, I haven't memorized the names yet. These are the 3 fabrics that we're going to use for this block. They're out of the, let's see, I still don't. That's out of the cedar chest. Yes, that's the right one. The one with the chickens in it. Yep, you need the chicken, the blue flowers, and the beige. It looks kind of like a plaid. I will. There it is. Yes. The chickens were easy. They were on top. Yes. That's my estimation, yes. We don't have that many in stock right now. We're going to cut some, and we also have more fabric on order. Okay, well, after class or after we get through the demo part, if you want to go in, Mike is prepared to make a list of what you need. Yes, Laura. You'll need 32 half-yard pieces. Does that help? What you need, Mike? Okay. And if you don't have 32 different ones, which would be one of each, then you can just double up on the ones that you like best. Okay. Okay, so now I just want to go through. Sharpie close. I don't want that on my fabric. Okay. It says fabrics needed, and all they say is fabric 1, fabric 2, fabric 3. That just seemed kind of hard for me, but when I go down here, let's see here. Fabric 1, we're going to cut template A. You see on your picture, see where it says template A? So we're gonna cut 5 of these. And I would rather you not take notes unless you just want to write in pencil here, but like you could put a 5 there. I'd like you to try to stay with the instructions, because even though a pattern is just a suggestion, thank you, it does help to learn to read patterns. So I'm going to try to help you with that too. So we're going to need 5 of these, and then underneath it, it says 8 2 1/4 squares by 2 1/4, 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 squares. But it also calls that B. So I didn't want that to confuse you. So you're going to have a template to draw part A out of fabric 1. And if you look in the picture, this corner right here is this corner right here. So that tells me that you need this fabric. This is your fabric A. I'll just tell you, and then you, instead of telling you how, this is fabric 1, sorry. This is fabric 1. Okay. Fabric B or fabric 2 is this one. And fabric 3 is your chickens. Okay. Now to me, having that map code makes all the difference, because once I figured that out, the rest was easy. So if you read where it says, well, I got ahead of myself. Okay, so when it says fabric needs, you can look down here to find out where A, B, C, D, where they are in your block. And then when you look up here, this will tell you what fabric is what. So we need 5 of A and 8 of B, which is a 2 1/4 inch square out of the blue floral, because that's fabric 1. Template D. Yeah. Okay, we'll get there. Okay, fabric 2, which is this one, we're going to cut 8 2 1/4 inch squares, and then you're going to cut 4 using template D. So you don't, this is template D, not fabric D. That gets confusing. And my explanations won't take as long as we go. I just want to make sure everyone understands. Okay, so fabric 3, which is my favorite, the chickens. All we need is 4 of C. Three fabrics, 1, 2, and 3. And if you have the key code to which fabric is 1, 2, and 3, when you look under cut, it tells you exactly fabric 1, it tells you exactly what you're going to cut and tells you which template, or in the example of B is just cutting 2 1/4 inch squares. Okay, any questions? Is that clear? Mom always said clear as mud. Okay, so let's go on to the next block. Since we've got this one down, I'm going to teach you how to cut for the next block, and then next time we'll sew 2 different ones. Okay, right, so it says fabric needed, background. And if you look in the picture, what they used was this gray. And that we're still in the same fat quarter bundle. We're still in the cedar chest. Okay, and then says fabric group. And what they did is they use assorted fabrics. Now, I'm going to pick out the ones that they used so that you can see. All right, so they used, now this is for your Dresden, this is called a Dresden, and these are for your petals. Okay, so you're going to need this one. And you're going to need to get in your other one. Need to get in your attic window. You'll need this one. Yes, you can. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, I'm not concerned. Okay. Oops, sorry. And then they have used this one. It's kind of a brown. And this one. Okay, the blue floral we used in our previous block. This one. Oh, you're looking for this one? Okay. This was in your previous fat quarter. This is so, and then the rest of these, except for this one, all of these are in the attic window.
Teresa,
Yeah.
I've looked at mine and I don't have some of those fabrics. I have, I've kept the one, this is the Cedar Creek's the only one that I opened.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they were only supposed to have 2 bundles, correct?
If you have 2 bundles, you should have all the fabrics, yes.
Well, I mean, I've got one
Well,
open.
2 different bundles.
Okay.
You need attic window and you also need cedar chest. One bundle had the dogs on the front and one bundle had the chickens on the front. Okay, then you probably won't have all of the fabrics. We do have them on the bolt. If you want to buy a half a yard, that would equal 2 fat quarter bundles for that particular fabric. So Nancy, did that answer your question? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Yeah, the only one that I have is basically, I have the gray, I think you said. And then I have, I don't even think that's the right one. I thought that was like the second or third one that you laid down, but
What was on the front of your bundle? Was it the chickens or the
yeah,
dogs?
it was the chickens.
Okay, then you won't have any of these fabrics. So, okay, now this is a good question. Okay, so she chose to buy 2, or she has just 1 bundle. So you have a choice. You can either buy the other bundle or you can substitute your own colors that you have in your stash. I don't want to require people to keep buying fabric because I'm more interested in people quilting. And but if you want to buy the other set, then you'll have all of the fabrics used in the quilt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, it makes sense to me, but I was trying to stick with the 30s fabric.
Well, we still have it. So if you'd like to purchase some, we can mail it to you or you can pick it up. But you would need to call the store so Mike can get you on an order list. We're going to cut fat quarters.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes. 32 half yards total would do it. Yes. If you bought a half a yard of each fabric, you would have enough to make the whole quilt. It's huge. I forgot to tell you that part. Okay, first person to find it gets an attaboy. There we go. Oh, it's on the front. Yeah, 81 1/4 by 90 1/4. I was thinking there was one in here that's a little bigger, but I might be thinking of it. I do a lot of different kits and plastics. Okay, so now we know what fabrics we're using. And we'll, like I said, you'll have to, oh wait, I didn't tell you the center. The center is also in the cedar chest. So it is in the one with the chickens. This one's also in the attic window. This is what they used for the center. Yeah, you won't find all, you'll need another bundle if you want to use the same fabric. And we do have all the fabrics out there on a fold. Pardon? Can you trade? Well, you'll need 2 of each to finish your quilt. Yeah, you'll need. Okay, yeah, you'll need 2 of each. Well, maybe we'll talk after. Okay, so this is your last fabric. This is the center. All right, so again, we have, I'm sorry. The last one was in the attic window, and it's this one. This is your center. That's right, that's it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so it says fabric needs. Now I'm going to help you again with fabric 1 is your background. And that was the gray, yes. So you might want to mark that. This is your background. Fabric 2, that is the assortment. I had them all. There we go. This is what they used for, this is fabric 2, and that's the petals of your Dresden. And again, you can substitute, or we can help you get the right fabrics. Okay, and then fabric 3 is what they call the plate center. See, we're learning all kinds of new terminologies. And again, it's this one. So we've got 3 fabrics. But this fabric number 2 is actually 4. So I didn't want, yes. For the petals, yes. Did I miss? Yes, I did. I'm sorry, there's 5. Thank you, Diana. Yes, I missed this one. Well, I'm sorry. I missed this one too. These 2 are from the attic window. No, cedar chip. And these 4 are from the other. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I can count. So these will be your blades or petals. All right. So now that we know what fabric, am I going too fast? Oh, you have 7. Okay, you need to have the blue flowers. You need to have this one. You need to have the brown dots. You need to have this one, the flowers, and the yellow. Let me look. And that's why we're going through all this, because it took me time, to figure it out. Every pattern is written differently because people write it. So when I do a class, I try to take the stuff that was a little time consuming and just give you that information. So you get to the sewing, which is the fun stuff. Okay, so now that we know what material is what, we know what material 1, 2, 3 is. When we go to cut, it's easy to see that fabric group 2, which was this, we want to cut 16 out of template B. 16. Yes, you can do it. You can, yeah. You can do it whichever, you can, well, yeah, 3 of each, and you can cut what they cut or hard. That's okay. Yeah, depends on how you want to do it. Okay, so then at fabric 3, which is our center, there is our template. Now, you could ask me, why don't we have seams marked? It's because we're going to have a template to go inside to make it a round circle. Either that or they're going to do raw edge applique. I haven't read that far yet because I think it's fun to do it as you do it.
This way before they do the needle for.
I'm sure they will on the outside of the Dresden plate. Yes. But like I said, there's other options. Okay, so I want to talk about the template just for a minute. This template you really will want to make, and you will want to cut it as accurately as you can. And these dots and these seam lines are a must. Well, if you don't want to pull your hair out, because you don't have to put them in there. You can stitch a 1/4 inch seam and you can estimate where it ends. But unless you mark it, it's going to be hard. And you're going to have to do a lot of adjusting. And, when you make a Dresden, you've got to adjust anyway. So when you make your template, what I do is I either punch a little hole so I can use a friction pin and make a little dot on the back side, or I just cut a little V shape out so that I can get my pin in there so that I can mark it. That's a Teresa trick, not a Ricky Tim's trick. The ladies in the old days, they probably didn't do that, but I think it would be a lot easier. Okay, really, that's all you need to know right now. You are gonna need some fusible webbing, like Wonder Under, soft fuse, something like that, for when we put the Dresden together and then apply it to your background. So you will want to bring some of that. It says the square is cut down to 8.5 inches. So an 8.5 inch wide will be more than enough of your fusible. We do. Trying to think if there was anything else. I didn't go through this one as much. This one, this block was from 1928. I always think that's cool. Yes, Maria.
Okay. I have a huge fear of curves.
Okay. Well, this is the right place.
I don't like them. I don't like them. We're both gonna be out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. This is going to be curves made easy. I know you can applique, so I know you can do this. Yeah,
You can do it.
you can do it.
Well, I was gonna,
Okay. Uh-huh.
I were, you mentioned it fusible.
Yes.
So here it comes.
Uh-huh.
Then looking at the template, if I fused it and I did rock applique, template is smaller, would it be cut, would it be, dotted lines?
Okay. Now, Maria has a very good question. She does not want to do the needle turn, and I think there's others. And there are times that, I don't want to do it either. So she's asking about raw edge applique. Now, that is a very good question. So yes, you would cut your template on the dotted lines, and you really don't need this mark with the black dot. And yes, you could just fuse that down and stitch around it, and it would just be pretty as a picture. So yes, you can.
Also square that off.
Uh-huh.
Square it off,
Uh-huh.
and
Yes, and Rosemary said you can also square this off. I don't really want you to do that because I want you to learn to do the circle. I know you can. Okay, I think that's everything. Question
yeah, on the front plate,
on the Dresden?
yeah, on the same template.
Uh-huh.
Under allowed.
I missed that. Thank you. Yes, you're gonna add. So in other words, you need a little more than 1/4 inch. And so,
On the template.
oops. No, your template, you want to cut your C template to the exact size. When you cut your fabric, that's something I did not go over. When you cut your fabric, you're going to cut it at least 1/4 inch bigger. Now, the ladies in those days, not only did they have the same measuring equipment we do, but they didn't necessarily have that same amount all the way around. And that's how they came up with this. So as long as your fabric is big enough to go around that, it's going to get, well, they would have basted around the raw edge. See, I'm already getting into next month, but we're going to press it. And so you want enough that when you're turning it over to press, that you don't cheat yourself. So that's why they're saying a little more than 1/4. Okay, that was a good question. Okay, now that reminds me that I didn't talk about how the traditional piecing, how it works. What they did is they laid it on the top of their fabric. Who can guess why? They laid their template on top of the fabric. Well, they laid it on the right side of the top of their fabric because they were using most usually used fabric. It might be a shirt, you know, who knows? It could be a feed sack, but they laid it on top so that they could see where the design was, if there were any stains, if there were any holes. So our day and age, we don't have to worry about that. But to me, it's amazing that they were fussy cutting way back when. But they made every bit of their fabric work. Okay, so what the book is telling us is when you cut your pieces, cut them larger, draw them. I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else and I got off track. They lay them on the top of their fabric and they draw them out. And they leave a little bit extra between each template so that when they cut it out, they can make sure that they can get on the drawing line. It's not like when we rotary cut. We can be more precise with a rotary cutter than a scissors. For myself, if I was cutting these, and I will, I'm going to cut strips. I'm going to measure this width, and I'm going to see what the width is, and I'm going to add at least 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to lay them down and I'm going to cut them instead of trying to hold a great big piece of fabric. I'm trying to think if there was anything else about the templates. One little tip I read in there, and we don't need to do it, but they would also, after they cut and they sewed, they would cut along this dotted line, and then after they sewed those together, they would slip that in there to see if it was just right. Now, they didn't have microwaves, but they did it. They were incredible. They were artists. I was trying to think if there's any. I can't think of anything more today. If you do have your sashing fabrics, what is fun for me when I'm doing a big quilt is if you notice there's sashing between those blocks. So we could actually put our sashing on each side and build our row as we go. And by the time we get to 1, 2, 3 months, we'll have our first row finished. So if you want to start doing that, it just makes it easier at the end, because by the time you get 42 blocks done, it'd be kind of cool to be able to just put the borders on and quilt it. That's only a suggestion. It's not a requirement. Okay, did you ladies on Zoom, did any of you have questions? Is there anything I can help you with?
I have a question. On our next class, the only thing we're
Lizzy, I
supposed
can't hear you for some reason.
Okay, is that better? Can you hear me
Let me
now?
see if I've muted something here.
Can you hear
I
me now?
still can't hear you, darn it. Let me switch cameras.
Okay.
Up here,
Can you hear
well,
me now?
that's if I want to mute her. Yeah. Okay.
The rest of
But
us.
I don't see
Zoom.
why.
Can
I
you hear me?
wonder if well, they're hearing me. Wonder if my speaker's off.
I can hear both of you, you and Susie.
Oh, she hear you.
Yeah,
No, I'm not muted.
she can't.
She did.
I don't know where it's at.
Uh-huh. Well, Susie, I don't know why we can't hear you.
Well, I can call and ask you my question.
I did. And
Or she can say it and I will say, repeat it if you can hear me.
try.
Okay,
Go
I
back
can
to
hear
my
you.
other camera.
What I wanted to know was, are we just cutting out for the next class or are we actually sewing the block?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Teresa, Susie is wanting to know, are we
Okay.
cutting out for the next class or are we sewing the blocks? Is that correct, Susie?
Yes.
Says I was correct.
I'm gonna stop record. And there's Nancy. I wasn't seeing you at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Susie. Okay. Susie, your microphone must not be working on your end because it shows on this end that you're unmuted. But I
Yes.
can't see. So can you go to chat and type your question, please?
Okay.
Try that.
Chat.
Hey Teresa, this is Terry. Can you hear me?
Is this the right screen for me to be in? Or chat? Okay, good.
Teresa, did you hear Terry?
I don't think Teresa can hear any of us.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe it's on.
Terry, did you have a question?
Susie
Well,
may-
can you hear me, Teresa?
Well, it must be me because I can't hear Terry either.
Yeah, we can all hear each other on
Okay.
Yeah,
this
right.
side.
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
I had them muted as they came in. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It says allow them to.
Can you all see my chat?
We don't think it's you, Susie. We think it's
So, I guess I could
because
try.
we can all hear each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
do?
so I wouldn't
Oh, I
make any
do.
changes. I think it's Teresa on Teresa's end.
Are we just cutting our
Okay,
pieces
thank
for
you.
next class? Or, oh, good question. No, we are not gonna sew. I just want you to cut for the 2 blocks and then be ready to sew next time because I would like to be able to sew our blocks and prepare you to cut your next 2 blocks in the time allotted. I think we can do it. If anyone else has a question, if you don't mind using chat, because sometimes for some reason, I'm not hearing you. You're welcome. Oh, good. Nancy can hear me, see me. We miss you, Nancy. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. If you have any other questions, you know where the store is, or you can call. We can always Zoom. I know kind of how to do that now. So if you need any more help, just let me know and we'll see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thanks. We're looking
Bye.
forward to it.